ceramicist based in Harrogate, UK. Recently, I tested a Tenmoku Glaze and I thought I'd share the results in this video. If you'd like to learn more about the glaze formulation, please check out my new member-only video series, Glaze Lab, where I focus entirely on glazes. This video is the teaser, so I'm making this recipe available to everyone. So what exactly is Tenmoku? Tenmoku is the name given to a family of iron-rich glazes that originated in China. They were introduced to Japan by Zen monks and became especially well known through tea bowls. They are loved for their rich, deep colors and subtle variations. Today, I'll be making a classic Black Tenmoku. Black Tenmoku is one of the most traditional iron glazes. Depending on the clay body and firing conditions, it can range from a deep black to rich brown with a beautiful glossy surface. The recipe is feldspar 57%, silica 22%, calcium carbonate 14%, kaolin 7%, making a total of 100% with an additional iron oxide 9%. For this test, I'm making a 50-gram batch. That works out to 28.5 grams of feldspar, 11 grams of silica, 7 grams of calcium carbonate, 3.5 grams of kaolin, and 4.5 grams of iron oxide. First, I carefully weighed each ingredient. When using a digital scale, a variation of plus minus 0.02 gram is not a concern. Then I thoroughly grind and mix everything together using a mortar and pestle. Next, I add water. As a guide, I use roughly 80% water compared to the weight of the dry materials. Then I mix everything very well. Then I'll pass the glaze through an 80 mesh sieve. Now it's time to apply the glaze to the textiles. I'm comparing 4 different clay bodies, a white stoneware, 2 speckled clay bodies, and a toasted clay. I also recommend testing glazes on the clay you normally use, as well as any clay bodies you've been curious to try. I'm applying the glaze with the brush. To see how thickness affects the results, I will apply multiple coats. I also write the details on the back using an underglaze pencil. Finally, I label the container. Once everything is dry, it's ready for the glaze firing. All of these tests were fired in an electric kiln in oxidation to 1230 Celsius with a 20-minute soak at the top temperature. Keep in mind that glaze results can vary depending on the kiln, the firing atmosphere, the temperature, the position inside the kiln, and the thickness of the glaze. So I encourage you to try this recipe in your own studio and see how it behaves. Now let's take a look at the results. On the white clay, the glaze produced a lighter, warm brown finish. On the speckled clay bodies, the particles became visible through the glaze, creating an interesting surface texture. On the toasted clay, the glaze develops into a deep brown with subtle purple undertones, giving it a wonderful sense of depth. Which one is your favorite? If you'd like to dive deeper into glazes, I share new topics regularly in my membership-only series, Glaze Lab. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.